Over the next few weeks, I will be sharing a series of discussions with several of my friends on mission titled How a Disciple Making Movement, or DMM, helps to meet the needs of the community. Each of the guests live in neighborhoods, communities, and cultures within those communities with a diversity of people and needs. And they are all representing Christ and helping bring his peace in ways that are culturally relevant and theologically sound. I am excited to share this with you and encourage you not to miss any of the episodes with the guest in this series. Now prepare to engage with this week's episode. My name is Thomas Clark, and welcome to the Takeoff Podcast, where myself and guests help equip you to bring the peace of God to the place you live, work, learn, and play, all for his glory. Every problem is a discipleship problem. Being a disciple of Christ does not guarantee that we will not have problems. It does, however, give us the tools to face the challenges of life that come our way. My worldview is that Christ transforms culture, and he does it through his followers. The goal of Takeoff is to equip you for movemental thinking when it comes to making disciples. This is season 4, and I am excited about all the possibilities and everything we have lined up for this season. Okay, let's get into it. And in this episode, we're picking up on part 2 of my conversation with Nicky Adams on how a disciple-making movement helps meet the needs of the community. Now the world, Adams, when the world does, they assess needs of what's needed. They assess what's needed, that is, and how to best meet the needs. And so, for example, you mentioned the drugstore that's near your house, and the company that owns that drugstore, that runs that drugstore, they wouldn't put another one right next door to it because they have one right there. And it probably wouldn't be the most wise business decision for a local, because there's some local pharmacies, for a local pharmacy to open up right there, because this big chain has establishment there.
Right.
But yet sometimes what we've done in the attraction model of the church, how we used to do church, is despite there being, and I'm not criticized because we talk about the disciple making movement and how it can come organically right where we live, work, learn, and play. But on the attraction model, there would be 5 or 6 churches, as people say, right there, and then someone goes open up another one right there next to it, as if they weren't, there. So, and perhaps that's not what's needed. If we're all, and again, I'm not criticizing anyone, but if we're all doing the same thing, then it's probably not what's needed there. So we're talking about needs, and you've already talked about, you've already identified some of the needs. How then, since the world is wise, and what Jesus says in Luke 16:8, that worldly people are more clever with their own kind than spiritual people are. They know. So if the world is wise in assessing needs, unfortunately more wise sometimes than those in the kingdom are, how have you assessed the needs where you live? And you've already kind of talked about it, but I want to unpack that a little more. How have you assessed the needs where you live?
Like I said before, basically just getting out and talking to people. It's not always about feeding them. It's not always about clothing them. It's sometimes it's about someone just having a conversation with them. You said something about the churches, and you're absolutely right. In my neighborhood, there's church after church after church after church. And this is one particular church that every other Saturday they give away fruits and vegetables. It's empty over there when they give it away because that's not what people. That's not what. It's not always about giving food away. It's about getting out and starting a relationship with them, with people, Imago Day, and acknowledging that they are God's Imago Day. When we acknowledge that people are God's Imago Day, we treat them differently. We speak to them differently. We uphold them at a certain standard because they are God's Imago Day. Did they fall? Yes, we all fall. You said that before. We all have fall, but He still loves us because we are His Imago Day. We have people who are addicted to drugs. Is so heavy over where in the Austin neighborhood is, and that's all they want is the drugs. You can't really speak to them because they nodding, but I could walk back and tap, hey man, you okay? They, yeah, I'm okay, and stuff like that. But I acknowledge them. That's because they're doing what they're doing. I acknowledge them because they are God's Imago Day. I want to make sure they're okay. And it's just the fact that we have to do more than offer food, do more than offer clothes. We have to see that there's a bigger need that's in the Austin neighborhood. We have we have young people that's all they can see is to get money, to get high, and that's it. We have young people that's not going to school. Well, let's do something. Let's get together and figure out why they're not going to school. Like why? What's the problem? What's going on? What is getting to know the family? What's going on in the family? And pray. We got to continue to pray. Got to continue to pray. People are very upset and was very worried about the government shutting down the assistance that is needed, whether it's the SNAP program, the housing program, or whatever. People are very upset. Well, let's talk about it. How we could get you to better. We got jobs out here that you can work. It just offer them more than come and get a box of food. That box of food gonna last for a whole week. Then what's gonna last? What's gonna happen then after that food is done? So just getting to know what people really need, the assistance that's really need. We need mental health programs out here. People give people a fighting chance. Give them a fighting chance to live, and let them know that there's someone out here that care about you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thank you so much for coming by the podcast page. I really appreciate it. Hopefully the information that is shared has and will be able to benefit you and also the people you know. Listen, if it has been, or you believe it will benefit you, I'm asking you to do me two favors. First of all, please follow. Yeah, click follow. That way, every time a new episode is released, you will be alerted and you can stay current on everything that we're talking about. But additionally, I'm going to ask that you consider supporting. Your financial support goes a long way to help me help others and the work that we're doing in creating the disciple-making movements. For your monthly or yearly support, not only will you receive access to episodes before everyone else does, but you also will on a monthly basis have a live Q&A with me where I will be able to answer questions based on the episodes and questions you may have and what's been shared. There's only so much that myself and my guests can say during the podcast recordings, but during the live Q&A, we can take a deeper dive into questions you may have, ways that we've seen it play out and work out, and perhaps even some suggestions that you may have that we may be able to comment on to help you and help equip you to help bring the peace of God to the places you live, work, learn, and play. Thank you again for following and for supporting. I appreciate it. Well, that's good. And I think for those engaging, thank you, Adams, for that. I think those engaging with us, you can see. And again, that's why I want friends on mission to come share it, because you hear the diversity. You hear the diversity. The if you engage in previous episodes in this series we're talking about and how to meet needs of the community, then what you heard previously, like what an Alicia shared and what the Bonners have shared, is completely different from one another. And then what Adams has shared is different from the others also, because there's the diversity. And the beautiful thing about disciple making movement is that it can be lived right where you live, despite the challenges. And I'm not making light of anything, because challenges can seem relative. Nalisha shared things where she lived that are challenges, and those are real challenges where she lives.
Mm-hmm.
The Bonners shared things that are challenging, and those are real challenges where they live. And now, Nikki, you've shared things that are challenges, and they're real challenges where you live. And for me, I think for us, those who follow Christ, again, the disciple making movement, one of the things I would discourage you from doing is stop comparing challenges. Stop comparing challenge. Stop saying, well, this is worse or that's worse, whatever else. It's all is and that's again back to it being contextually relevant. It's relevant to where we live, and we're able to meet, and Christ comes and lives through us to meet the needs of the challenges where we live.
Right.
That's what makes it so powerful. It makes it powerful. And this is the natural transition to what I want to say next, because sometimes what we're doing, and I'm not criticizing any ministry or church, or people say church, I don't, or whatever, but sometimes we've been ethnocentric, and we've tried to tell people what they need. We try to tell people what they need. And so to be ethnocentric, and unfortunately, we can jump to conclusions, or we engage with others based on our own cultural assumptions. So ethnocentrism, again, is to use one's own culture to measure another's, putting one's own culture, ethno, at the centrism of interpretation, and typically devaluing the other culture. We devalue because we're ethnocentric. One of the things, and I see it, and I'm not a big, yes, the podcast, social media, but in terms of beyond that, as a means to an end, I use social media, but just being on there, I'm not on there just making a lot of comments about a lot of things. I don't do that. But I do see some things. One thing that I've seen so often on social media, unfortunately, you mentioned what's happening now in our government, mm-hmm. with benefits and with healthcare, et cetera. And even with some of the deportation and all that. And one of the things I've seen, unfortunately, is so many people who go on, and some people who say they're Christians. And I'm not saying they say they're Christians because I'm doubting it. Only Christ knows who he is. But some who say they're Christians, they go on and be ethnocentric because they don't understand what's happening. And so they immediately start talking down about the people who are hurting.
Right.
And for me, it's like, well, how can I say Christ again if he wants to be embedded and show up in my life, and at the same time I'm criticizing people who say I'm hurting? Christ is not showing up in anybody's life to talk and criticize somebody who says they're hurting.
Right.
And we don't get to, and we should not, when people do it, but we probably shouldn't tell people what their level of hurt is or is not.
Exactly.
Love them. That's what Christ would do. So, but it's better though to be ethnographic. Before we talk about being that, Adams, when and how, because all of us at some point have been ethnocentric. When and how in the past have you been ethnocentric?
Oh, um, okay. My second place is where I work at. I used to, not now. I know better. When you know better, you do better. So I used to always say what this if a person come to me and they and be like, I can't work because this or because that, and my mind go into, well, you knew that you had to work, and you knew that this was coming up, why you didn't handle it then. And so I was like, or they say that my kids, I gotta go out, I gotta call off for the PM because of my kid getting a fever. My mind was like, oh, now you finna use your kids. But I'm a person who don't have children, so I wouldn't know. I couldn't say, I shouldn't say that you using this an excuse, or you using an excuse that you sick. I don't know whether you sick, but my mind went there because my mind just saying that, oh, you don't want to work because you just don't want to work. But I don't know, but because I used to use that ethno where we at ethno
Ethnocentric.
ethnocentric. I used to be like that when I was in high school. I used to use excuses all the time, whether I can't go to school, and I be not telling the truth at all. And I knew how to play on my mother's sympathy at all. And so my mind went to, oh, you're acting just like when I was younger, just not want to go to school. But I couldn't do that because I don't know how people feel. I don't know what their children going through. I don't know what's going on in their lives that stopped them. I just felt like you making excuses, and so I use what I did, my culture, to evaluate other people, and that's not right. That's not
Well,
right.
well,
I hope
that was a good example. I mean, because that's really classic ethnocentrism, where we, because we do something and see something, we think everybody else is just like us,
yes,
and so we judge them and think about them, good, bad, otherwise, based on what we've done or said in the past, and that's not right. That was not what we should do, particularly if we're going to make disciples and help meet the needs. It's best to be ethnographic. Ethnography, which is a rich description and analysis of a culture that includes our experience of being with them. So versus hearing them and then saying, I did this, you must be doing this too. No, it's based on my experience with you. I get to know you. And you can see their passion toward their children, or how they are, or whatever else, or see perhaps they have a child who's sickly, or whatever the case
right,
may be. Be ethnographic then helps with that, and so you engage people and their culture based on your experience with them, and not our own cultural thoughts or interpretations about what they're doing or saying. And what that does, being ethnographic, because again, we're gonna meet the needs. We need to be ethnographic. It helps us determine the meaning and value of what we say to the people, but also serves as a guardrail for the words we use with them, and what they use, words they use with us, to help us see that there may be some things we may say or things we may do that may be offensive, that we probably would do differently if we knew better. If we knew better. So I'm glad you said that, Abs. Hopefully next time somebody kid is sick, you ain't telling them, know, your kid ain't sick.
right,
You don't, yeah. Yeah. So as we get ready to conclude, a couple of things. We learn best from people, you all, and Adams, um best how to serve them, that is, based on what they actually need, and it's not always the same each time. It's not always the same. You already alluded to it. You mentioned the fruit giveaway, and it's empty, because
right,
perhaps that's not what people need. Well, clear, it's not what they needed. They're not coming to get it. It's not what they need. And so,
yes,
we have to do that. But in Mark chapter 6, Jesus fed the 5,000 men besides women and children. The very next day, in John chapter 6, so it's from a chronological standpoint, he gets up and he leaves, and the people want to know where he's at, and he tells them, the only reason you wanted me is because I fed you. That's the only reason you want me, But then he goes into telling them really what they should want to do, and that is they should want the bread that comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. Talking about himself, of course. And so what we see is Jesus said, I fed you physically one day because that's what you needed. They had been with him all day. They couldn't make it home. They probably would have died on the way back home, or fainted and fell out and then died. So he says, I'm going to feed you. Told disciples, let's feed them. Why? Because that's what they need.
Mm-hmm.
They're full. The next day, when they're full, have energy, the blood sugar's right, he doesn't feed them again. And why? Because that's not what they need. He says, now I can talk to you about another need. What you need is the bread that comes from heaven that gives life to the world. That's what you need now. So I said that because he was incarnate, then then he saw the benefit of being able to assess the need and how to meet the need. So I want to ask you, what are some benefits of your being incarnate in the place you live? How has the community, the people there, benefited in tangible ways? And maybe even how have you benefited? It's not just them, it's you also. But what's been the benefit of being incarnate where you live?
Safety. Safety.
Okay,
So
unpack that safety. That's good.
I can walk down the street, Bishop, and people just, I don't have to be afraid because people see me. They know I'm the big lady with the little dog walking down this street. They know, and they'll stop and they'll talk to me. It's about safety, and I honestly believe that I also do my prayer walk, and I honestly believe that God answers prayers. That no one there's anyone could walk down the street and they could be safe. They could be safe. And not just know my name, but know everybody's name. And help each other. I mean, if I see a person that's struggling raking their leaves off their grass, my job is to offer help. To offer help. And it should be a what you call it, a reciprocal, not reciprocal, but like a effect that if they see me offer help, they see someone else, they could help that person,
The
and it
residual effect.
thank
Residual.
you,
Yes.
residual effect, and it's just the safety of it. And the reason why I say safety is because it's getting dark early, and the neighborhood I live in, anything could jump off. But because I pray, when I walk, I pray. I do my prayer walk. I walk this dog of mine. People see me that is nothing gonna jump off. Now I can't stop them from stealing, but I can just be like, "Yo, man, hey, why you finna steal?" And this is a true story, Vision. I know this is not the question. I know it's the time is the essence, but this is a true story. I was in Walgreens. I was looking for something. I couldn't find it, and this man, I just saw him just going back and forth, and he just kept going back and forth, and no one was paying attention to him. We came in the same aisle. He took out a bag and started going up top and getting big bags of peppermints, just putting them in his bag. And I said, "Yo, man, I know you're not stealing." And it just came natural for me to say that. I said, and he was like, "I can't help it. I need this. I need help. I'm struggling right now. I need help." I was like, "You can't steal." That's all I could say to him. And he was like, I just need this. He's like, "Please, I just need this." And it's like, I know stealing is wrong, but it's just the tone in his that these people, they need help out here. He stole it after I told him it's not good to steal it, and but it's just that he's like he needed. Now he wasn't high. He seemed like he's a working man. I don't know if I don't know, but he seemed like he was in his right mind. It's just the fact that people that when I live, when I'm incarnated, the benefits that I see is that people's been honest, and they allowing you to be safe. They've been honest, and they allow you to be safe.
Well, that's good. That's good, Adams. And hopefully you told him not to steal. Hopefully you told somebody the man
Yeah.
was stealing something.
Mhm.
Oh, you told the store?
I tell them all the time when I see someone steal, but they just brush it off like, oh well. So
Okay. All right. Well, you told the store. I'm just glad you didn't say no, man, it ain't good. And he said, I
no,
need this. You like, carry on. No,
right,
okay, okay, good, good,
nah,
good. I was sitting, I'm like, oh, yeah, I gotta ask about this one because I gotta be clear. And if
right.
this I make a movement, we don't condone stealing. We
Is
don't
right.
do
We
that one.
don't.
Yeah, no. So you did tell the management, and they just and with I think that's unfortunate. As again, without being ethnocentric about it, again, different communities have different cultures,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, the culture that I'm talking about now, the management has there is one. While they all have profit and loss, is one of they almost expect certain loss. Seems
Yes.
like, and that's unfortunate. But at the same time, as you keep doing what you're doing and getting other people ultimately to follow Christ, it can transform. We're not arrogant to think that it's going to be completely gone,
Right.
but it can be transformed. It can be better. And if that man or other people are one, two, three, four less people doing some things, that is transformation.
Yes.
That is transformation. So that's so important. That's very important. Adams, while we should know our enemy, talking about Satan, the enemy, we also should see how God is moving and what the community
Yeah.
needs and operate, knowing that what that does is give people a local theology and testimony. And you definitely have shared with your local theology of how you are showing, oh, God is showing up through you where you live, where there are again, every community has unique challenges, and so we have unique challenges, yet he's using you in a way, with those unique challenges. And as you see him move like that, then you see transformation can take place, and people say there's hope. I mean, the idea that people are speaking and talking and everything else. And one thing you all have in common, Alicia said it, the bonus that you said it, is that through what you're doing, other neighbors now are also starting to speak, and to each other, not just to you, but to one another, which helps. It goes a long way in helping because now things that shouldn't happen jump out at you. Oh, that shouldn't happen over here. And people, and every community has that, regardless if it's Peel Hill, under the hill. Every community has things happen that should not be happening.
Right.
And when people have a sense of community, then they're more likely to protect what they feel belongs to them because it's shared versus that's not mine. I'm gonna mind my own business. So but ultimately the main goal is to make disciples. And
Right.
you over there with your mission community and have spiritual formation conversations and making doing your best to make disciples. So I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Listen, we're going to get out of here. One question, and that question for you, that question for those who are engaging with us. And the question for you is this: do you have any last comments or things you want to share before we get ready to get off of here?
Yeah. I know that I'm not. I know we not gonna get to a point that everybody gonna sit in a circle singing "Kumbaya." That's something I know. But I would love to get to a point that I can go to a neighbor or a neighbor can go to me and ask me about anything. I would love to get to a point that I can go outside and like cheers, everybody knows my name, and I know their name. I would love to get to a point that we won't see violence anymore. I'm not going to say that can't happen, but I know that it's going to only happen if we put God first and we be missional and allow people to know that it can work through the Lord. And even though it work for us. It's okay. It's okay because once we allow God to just completely, we surrender to God completely and take that fear out of what we are doing because God is not fear. It can happen. It can happen. It can happen. Will everybody accept him? No. That's in the word. No more. Everybody will not accept him, but they will know of him. By the time I get through with it, they will know who God is. So yeah, we don't live in a perfect world. This world will never be perfect, but I honestly know that if everyone truly believe in God, where I live, where I work, and where I play will be peaceful and and livable. Where I live is just a place I lay my head, um, get dressed, take a shower. But where I supposed to be out there is in the world. So I thank God for what I have. But at this point, I'm ready to just go, just go. So where I live, where I work, and where I play can see so much more that I can give them.
That's good, Adams. Thank you. Thank you for that. Listen, you all, you've heard what she said. This has been a wonderful episode, and I may have to break this into a couple episodes because this is so good. But for those engaging with us, I want to ask. I always ask questions of you. Again, same question we're asking in each of this episode in this series. How can you show up and address the needs of the community in which you live, work, learn, and play? You've heard what Nikki has said, how God has shown up through her where she is, and perhaps you have some of the same challenges, or you don't have the same challenges, or you say my challenges are worse. Well, we're not here to compare challenges. What we are here to show is that despite what we're facing, God will show up through you. He wants to. So how can you show up and address those needs? By allowing the Lord where you live, work, learn, and play to live through your life. And then secondly, what is your I will statement? I always ask that in each episode. And that is, as a result of engaging the episode, what will you start or stop doing, and who you going to share with to help hold you accountable? Listen, thank you for your support. Thank you for engaging. Um, please share any questions you may have in the chat, and I will address them. If you become a supporter of the program, you can get a personal monthly Q&A, and who knows, there may be some questions you have for Nikki, and we can get her to come on perhaps during one of the Q&As, and you can ask her, and she can unpack some things that maybe I didn't follow up with, or maybe we didn't have time to go over. But thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you, Adams. And listen, you all, as always, let's take off.
Mm.